This lesson is for Mrs. Cucci's College Now Pre-Calculus class. This is the second video for systems of equations in 3 variables, and today is the applications portion of that video. So applications allow us to solve a lot of problems in different fields. The field specifically that we're going to be talking about today, and that quite often systems in more than 2 variables occur, are places like business or social, natural sciences, and engineering. So let's look at our first example. First example is going to be based on investments. The problem states that Mary inherited $15,000, and she invested part of it in a money market account, part of it in a municipal bond, and part of it in a mutual fund. After a year, she received a total of $730 in simple interest from the 3 investments. The money market account paid 4% annually. The bonds paid 5%, and the mutual funds paid 6%. There was $2,000 more invested in the mutual funds than in the bonds. We want to find the amount of money that Mary invested in each. Okay, so the way we need to start with this is we need to kind of let our variables represent each type of account that she invested money in. So we're going to say we're on X, Y, and Z. Okay, X, Y, and Z can represent each one. So I know that if I put together all of these accounts, that I spent a total of $15,000, right? So we kind of make our first equation here. That first equation being X plus Y plus Z is $15,000, right? So the next thing I need to look into is I know that I earned interest, $730 worth of interest, in these investments with my interest rates. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put in my interest rates. So 4%, we know we have to write as a decimal, 0.04x, plus 5%, 0.05y, plus 6%. And that's going to give me a total of $730. Excuse me. Okay. So there's a second equation. So another statement in the problem gives us a third equation. The amount of money invested in the mutual fund, and we're going to say the mutual fund is Z because that's at 6%. The amount of money in the mutual fund was $2,000 more than the one invested in bonds. Okay, so we've kind of created another equation. So now we have 3 equations here. Now this one here, I really don't like how it's set up because everything else is in order X, Y, Z, right? So I'm just going to reorder this so that it has a nicer look to it. I'm going to say negative Y. This stylus is horrible. Negative Y plus Z equals 2,000. So now here's equation 1, here's equation 2, here's equation 3. Okay? So what we need to do now is we need to kind of figure out a way for this to work with us. These decimals here really are ugly. I don't like the way they look, they don't help me any, and I would much rather have them in terms of integers. So what I can do to make this easier for myself is I can take this and multiply it through by 100 to give me an equation that better fits my needs, right? So now it just becomes 4x plus 5y plus 6z equals 73,000. Just makes it a little bit easier to look at, okay? Okay, so what we need to do now is we need to go ahead and work on that isolating piece, right? So we've got equations 1, 2, and 3. What would I have to multiply that first equation through by to get the x's to cancel in the second equation? So it looks like I'd have to multiply through by a 4 or a negative 4. Okay. So That's going to give me negative 4x minus 4y minus 4z equals negative 60,000. Okay, bring that second equation down. 4x plus 5y plus 6z equals 73,000. We add them. It's going to give us y plus 2z equals 13,000. Okay, so I've got a new equation here, right? We're going to call that equation 4. Well, if I look, now we've got our equation 3. It's already in terms of two variables, y and z. So we're going to go ahead and add those together. The y's are going to cancel. Very nice. 3z equals 13,200. Divide by 3. And we get 4,400. Okay, so now we have our z. We know how to go and find our y. We'll plug it into one of these equations. Oops, hello. This would be an easy one to use right here, right? We can use this one. So we've got negative, stop it, negative y plus 4,400 I don't know, guys. Oh, let's try this again. All right, I'm just gonna do this. Negative y plus 4,400 equals 200. Negative y equals negative 4,200. Y equals 4,200. So now I've got z, I've got y. Last step, find my x. So we use the equation that we started with, right? Put this down. Equation we started with was x plus y plus z equals 15,000. So x plus y plus z equals 15,000. X plus 8,600. Subtract that over. X equals 6,400. So my solution, my ordered triple, 6,400. 4,200 and 4,400. So what does that actually mean? It means that 6,400 was invested in the money market. 4,200 was invested in the bonds, and 4,400 in the mutual fund. Okay. All right, so let's keep going. Let's try the next one. This time we're talking about sales. Okay, so the table below lists sales of winter sports equipment, apparel, and accessories in November of three recent years. Use the data to find a quadratic function that gives the snow sport sales as a function of the number of years after 2006. Then use the function to estimate snow sports sales in 2009. Okay, so what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to say, we're going to let X be the number of years after 2006. So S of X is going to be your snow sport sales. Okay, X equals 0 is 2006, X equals 1 is 2007, X equals 2 is 2008, so on and so forth. So what we're able to do is we're able to come up with some data points, okay? Which you guys should know. We know how to do data points. So we have 0, 296, we have 1, 423, and we have 2, 402. Since I want it to be quadratic, we know our general formula for a quadratic is ax squared plus bx plus c. S of x, again, being the snow sports sales, okay, in terms of time. So what we can do is we can actually find the values of a, b, and c by doing a little bit of work, right? We can come up with some equations. Since I know I have the point 0, 296, okay, I know that S of x is 296, that's your y, and then x is going to be 0. Okay. I can do the same thing for these. 1, 4, 23. It's going to give me 423 equals a times 1 squared plus b times 1 plus c. And similarly, 2, 402. It's going to give me 402 a 2 squared plus b times 2 plus c. Okay? So what this actually gives me is some equations. I get c equal to 296. I get a plus b plus c equal to 423. And I get 4a plus 2b plus c equal to 402, right? Just by doing out this math. So then we would actually have to go through and solve this system, okay? So let's go ahead and do that. I know what c is, so essentially what I need to do is I need to get a to eliminate. So if I look at that second equation and the third equation, what can I multiply the second equation by to get a to eliminate in the third? So we know that that's going to be a negative 4, right? So negative 4a minus 4b minus 4c equals, and again we said negative 4, so 423 times negative 4 is negative 1692. Add that to my next one, 4a plus 2b plus c equals 402. Those a's cancel. We get negative 2b minus 3c equals negative 1290. So now we know what c is. C is 296. So let's go ahead and utilize what we know, right? So negative 2b minus 3 times 296. Again, we're solving for b now. We've already got c. And then we can go and find a. So 3 times 296 is going to give us 888. Okay. Add over that 888. We get negative 2b equals negative 402. Divide by that negative 2. And we get 201. So now we've got C, we've got B, I need A. We pick the easy equation, right? The easy equation is going to be this A plus B plus C. So we need A. We have B. Found B to be 201. We have C, 296. We know that has to be 423. So A plus 201 plus 296 is 497. Subtract it over. Negative 74. Okay, so we get negative 74, 201, and 296. So that's our solving of our system. Okay, so we've got A, B, and C. So if we have to come up with a model, a quadratic model, we actually do have to use and write an equation for that. So what that equation is going to look like is S of x equals ax squared, so negative 74 x squared plus bx plus c. Okay, so there's your equation. If it wants to know what it's going to be in 2009, that's the third year after 2006. So you're going to do S of 3. We do the math. We get 233 million. Okay. And there we have it. All right, so come in with any questions you might have. We'll practice applications when you come to class, and I will see you tomorrow.